Lilith, Queen Devil. When discussing demonology and various figures, throughout religion there is one female figure who is more famous than the others. Even this figure still often appears in popular culture. She is Lilith. In Jewish mythology and legend, Lilith was a demonic woman, known as one vampire and also the first succubus. It refers more to occult myths. For those who don't know what occult myths are, it's a belief in something supernatural like magic. The most common description of Lilith is a night demon that is very seductive and sexually attractive, but also deadly. He also usually sniffs out into the night till dark to steal babies and small children. This concept is similar to the belief of ancient Mesopotamia, where there was once a figure known as Lamashtu, daughter of the gods, Anu. For some people, she is an evil goddess, and for others, she is a demonic woman. He was a monster who harassed women during childbirth and kidnapped their children and sucked their blood and marrow. Then he gnawed on the remaining bones. The mothers of those babies are also not spared from Lamashtu. They're not safe. Likewise, the baby is still in the womb. Usually he causes the pregnant woman to miscarry. As one of the most fearsome demons in Mesopotamian myth, his actions are not limited to pregnant women. He also drinks blood and eats human flesh. And he also goes into people's dreams and causes nightmares. Wherever he goes, he will be followed by disease, plague, and death. Back to the Lilith figure likened to Lamashtu. Many today consider Lilith to be Adam's first wife before Eve. He was replaced by Er because he had rebelled. This idea comes from the book of Genesis, the first book in the book of Hebrew in the Old Testament, where in the Genesis 1 details the creation of the universe and everything in it. It says God created the heavens, the earth, plants, animals, and lastly man, in his own image to rule over all that he has created. Here the emphasis is in Genesis 1, where God created man and woman simultaneously. Genesis 2 is very similar to Genesis 1 is about the creation of the universe but different in terms of human creation. It is said that men were created before women. So Adam was formed from the ground, then God made a woman figure from Adam's rib, being Eve, because there is a slight, ambiguous difference between these two. Genesis, that's why people connect with Lilith. Lilith was the first woman created before Eve. Although Lilith is never mentioned, she is never in the Genesis. She is only mentioned once in the book of Isaiah as a night ghost. The woman we know in the incident until now became Adam's companion is Eve. So if you're familiar with the story of the Eve created from Adam's rib, it's the story of Genesis 2. Lilith also appears in the Talmud, where the story is more ambiguous and very complicated. Lilith appeared here 4 times and was never mentioned as Adam's wife. The Babylonians knew the ghost of a winged man named Lilu. The Talmud discusses Lilith as a winged demon with the face of a woman. It is said that if a man sleeps in a house alone, he will be captured by Lilith. He collects male semen while sleeping to create many demonic offspring. But what happened from the time she was created until she became a demon figure? A story that explains this in detail dates back to the Middle Ages. Lilith legend is known in the alphabet of Ben Sira, written in 8 to 11 AD. When Adam and Lilith were created, none of them bowed to each other. They both don't want to budge. Both want to be dominant, especially when having sex. Because none of them compromised, Lilith then fled the Garden of Eden. The problem was that he ran away shouting God's real name. And because he did that, his figure immediately turned into a winged devil. Then God sent 3 angels to bring Lilith back to Eden. When this angel came after him to bring him back, he told the angel that he had no intention of returning. He didn't want to be punished for his actions. Then the 3 angels threatened and promised to kill 100 demon children every day. Lilith replied with threats as well, that her goal now was only to cause illness to other people's babies and every newborn child she would master for 8 days if they were men, and 20 days if they were women. At the end of this threat and debate, the angels and Lilith meet at a point of compromise. The agreement is that every Lilith targets the baby. Then if he finds a mold near the baby that has one of the names of these 3 angels, then he will not target the baby. He will release the baby. Before this story, there was an ancient legend that scholars believe was the basis of Lilith mythology. The prototype of this Lilith story can be found in the Sumerian story, the epic Gilgamesh, and artifacts found in 07 BC show evidence of protective magic against Lilith. There is not much learning material saved from the Akkadian Empire that allows an in-depth analysis of Lamashtu and Lilith and their links to Lilith. But we already know that with many stories and interpretations, Babylonians and also the Sumerians, that these characters are similar, and this creature may have been the inspiration for the Lilith character. This lack of information on the origin of Lilith makes many people creative. Her depictions vary from beautiful woman to evil ghost, and some tell her as a serpent in the Garden of Eden, who tempted the Eve with forbidden fruit as one of his final acts of revenge. So there's a story where Adam and Eve were warned by God that it was not allowed to approach the forbidden tree, let alone eat its fruit. But one day when he was walking alone